Welcome, dear listeners. This is patient 713 addressing you on day 3 of my life as an initiated cultist. Today we are going to talk about symptoms. With tests being scarce and not readily available to everyone who suspects themselves of being initiated, is there any way to tell? Most European countries have now established stations at their borders, checking the temperature of those who want to cross. But is a fever really a universal sign of being part of the cult? Not necessarily. Let me tell you about my own example. I only had fever for a day, and that too went away when I treated it with a dose of ibuprofen and paracetamol. From that moment, I've had a slightly elevated temperature all the time, something that isn't quite unique in my case. I can get slight temperature from stress or from a migraine or from a number of other unrelated sources. And we're not talking about an actual fever. We're talking about that slight bump on the old mercurial thermometer that made your mom put the backpack in your hand and kick you off to school, saying that she ain't falling for that trick. Fever, therefore, is not something that every initiated cultist experiences to the same degree. In that case, is there a universal symptom? Well, there seems to be one thing that all cultists have in common: absolute and utter fatigue. If you suddenly have no energy to live, you can't force yourself to stay awake for a whole day, and you dream of naps that last for over 8 hours, you may be part of the cult. This symptom is often accompanied by headaches. And as someone who struggles her whole life with migraines, let me tell you, those headaches are no picnic. There are moments when you feel like someone is driving an ice pick during your skull, and no amount of painkillers can help you. In my case, this pain lasted 3 days. 3 days of excruciating pain in one side of my head, causing blurred vision in one eye. That will eventually go away, but you may still feel as if someone is holding your head in a tight grip. Sometimes you can almost feel the fingertips digging into your temples. Fun! Other signs of an initiated cultist may include a dry cough that varies in intensity but just won't go away, or a runny nose, as you sometimes have in a cold, and surprisingly enough, a loss of taste and smell, which is probably for the best because you won't have much of an appetite anyway. And if you have to force a god-awful medicine down your throat, at least you won't be able to taste or smell it. If you're still unsure whether you're initiated or not, and there is no way you're getting a test anytime soon, try doing what I call that toddler test, or that TT. I have not thought that through, forgive me. First, try to observe if you're significantly more fatigued than usual. Do you need a nap after opening a milk carton or sending a text to your mom? Step 2. Does everything taste just wrong? Normally, you like bananas, but today they seem to taste like paper and broken promises. Step 3. Do you really want tomato soup, but 3 minutes later, tomato soup is like the worst idea ever, and what were you even thinking? Do you drool at the thought of roast chicken, but as soon as it lands on your plate, you feel strangely betrayed? Step 4. Try to spin around once. Just once, like a little ballerina. Take a step forward and do a spin, ending up facing the same way you started. Did you fall over and were unable to get up for 5 solid minutes? Does your head feel like it's being squeezed like a watermelon? Boy, do I have bad news for you. Now, I'm sure there is a multitude of other symptoms, most of which depend on the individual cultist. We're not all the same after all, even though the cult has taken our separate identities. Watch your health, wash your hands, and remember, stay isolated or be assimilated. Patient 713, signing off.